Heritage Roscoe versus Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0, a concealed carry comparison. Shooting range. Busy range today. We might have to dub over some audio. What we're going to look at today is the difference between 380 ACP with our Bodyguard 2.0 versus we'll call it another popular style of carrying a firearm, a snub-nosed revolver. In this case, the Heritage Roscoe in 38 Special plus P. And because we're going to do a little bit, just a brief velocity test here towards the middle of the video, we also have a 3-inch barrel 38 Special, or in this case 357. We're going to shoot 38 Special out of the Ruger SP-101 with a 3-inch barrel. So we can see if, or what if any velocity difference there is between the 2-inch barrel of our Roscoe and the 3-inch barrel of the 38 Special. Our Bodyguard 2.0 has a barrel 2.75 inches, we'll say sandwiched in between the two. Let's start the video today with the Bodyguard 2.0 at our bottom left target and see if we can put any hits on our target. I want to say that's an 8-inch target. I didn't measure it. It doesn't matter. Here we go. Okay, we're a little low left, maybe one hit in the bullseye. I haven't shot this Bodyguard in, unfortunately, too long. I'm a little out of practice with it, been shooting a lot of revolvers as of late. Let's do 5 shots with our Roscoe at the right-hand target. Now this revolver has a double action, single action trigger where you can fire in double action mode or you can cock the hammer and fire it in single action. What I will do is I will fire my first shot single action, though most of our shots today, when we're not doing a velocity test, will be double action. Here we go. Okay, I can see one hit. It looks like in the 6 ring. One hit a little high of the target, where we donated one hit to the middle target, with 2 hits to the right of the target. Let's go ahead and shoot at that same target using our 3-inch SP-101 and see if we can do a little better. Here we go. Again, first shot will be single action and then all double action. Okay, a little better. We're probably significantly better with our 3-inch barrel SP-101. I probably benefited from having the Roscoe first with having a chance to get the sights, shall we say. One obvious advantage right out the gate of the Bodyguard has is you can tell is 10 rounds in this magazine up to 12 rounds in this magazine compared to 5 in both of our revolvers. That's a significant difference in capacity. Also, while I don't have a speed loader, even if I did bring a speed loader today for the revolver, loading the what we'll call box style magazine of the Bodyguard would still be significantly faster than reloading from the speed loader, at least as far as my skills go. Let's quickly break down the numbers on these two firearms for our newer viewers. The Heritage Roscoe is a small frame, snub-nosed revolver chambered in 38 Special plus P. It has an overall length of 6.5 inches, height of 4.8 inches, width of 1.41 inches, and weighs in at 22 ounces unloaded. The revolver has a 5-shot capacity, has a single action, double action trigger, a transfer bar safety, a 2-inch alloy steel barrel with an alloy steel cylinder and carbon steel frame. The sights are a fixed front blade with frame integrated rear sight. The Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 is a micro-compact, double-stack magazine-fed, pocketable pistol chambered in .380 ACP. It is 5.5 inches long, 4 inches high, 0.88 inches wide, and weighs in at 9.9 ounces unloaded. The firearm comes with 10 and 12 round magazines, has a flat face trigger. There is a thumb safety model available. It has a 2 3/4 inch stainless steel barrel. The sights are a tritium front sight with anti-glare U-notch rear sight. One of the points that comes up when talking to the crew about firearms is, and been talking about things like snub-nose revolvers versus pocketable .380s, is the difference in velocity and, shall we say, energy between .380 ACP and .38 Special. Let's do a quick test now, and I'm going to use what I consider fairly comparable ammo between these two, in that we are going to be shooting Winchester white box. You might be saying, yeah, but the .38 Special you're shooting is in a Browning box. Well, Browning Target and Practice is just Winchester white box in a different box, both made by the same company, Olin Brands. Our Winchester white box in .38 Special is 130 grain full metal jacket projectile. Our Winchester Target and Practice for .380 is a 95 grain full metal jacket projectile. Let's see if we can get some hits on our chronograph today, and then we will calculate the energy, or the average energy after, and velocity on our shot samples. Starting with our .380 ACP at the middle left-hand target. Eight, 9, 913, 848, 54, 843, 875. We put almost dead center in the bullseye. Good times. Now we will do our 2-inch barrel snub-nose revolver from our heritage Roscoe. This is the 130 grain full metal jacket. All of these shots will do single action, so we can try to put some hits on our target a little more easily today. Here we go. $106, 724, 696, 707, 686. I think we put one of those dead center on the bullseye. I think what I'm going to do with this Roscoe when I get home is paint the front blade white to make it stand out a little better. Shooting against a target with a black bullseye, it sort of blends in. Okay, here is our 3-inch barrel from our SP101 now. I'm just going to shoot at the same target. Here we go. $780, 775, 798, 804, 813. So a noticeable probably 100 feet per second on average, though when we get to the graphic portion, we'll work that out. The Browning 130 grain 38 special ammo, aka Winchester range and target, has an advertised velocity of 800 feet per second for 185 foot-pounds of energy. They don't list the barrel length for that test. Our average achieved velocity from the 2-inch barrel of our Heritage Roscoe came out to 706 feet per second for 143.8 foot-pounds of energy. That same ammunition from the 3-inch barrel of our Ruger SP-101 has an average achieved velocity of 794 feet per second for 181.9 foot-pounds of energy. Based on those numbers, it seems like Browning or Winchester have used a 3-inch barreled 38 special for their tests. Also of note here, if you're looking for the details or the comparison of the Ruger versus the Roscoe, that is coming in a future video in the next week where a pair of SP-101s go head-to-head against our Roscoe. So look for that video if you're looking for that information. The Winchester Range and Target 95 grain Full Metal Jacket 380 ammunition has an advertised velocity of 955 feet per second for 192 foot-pounds of energy. Again, we don't know the barrel length for that test. Out of the 2 3/4 inch barrel of our Bodyguard 2.0, our average achieved velocity is 862 feet per second for 156.7 foot-pounds of energy. Looking at those numbers side by side, while our 38 special ammo has a heavier projectile, out of our 2-inch barrel of our Heritage Roscoe, the lower velocity of that projectile translates to energy less than what we see from a lighter projectile going faster from our Bodyguard 2.0. Though increasing that barrel length of just 1 inch allowed the heavier projectile to go fast enough to yield significantly more energy compared to what we saw from our Bodyguard 2.0. Interesting. If you're curious how self-defense ammo out of 38 special would perform compared to self-defense ammo from our Bodyguard 2.0, look for some videos in the next few weeks where we do just such a comparison. As a hits on paper test, what we're going to do now is I'm going to do a 10-round magazine at our left-hand target with the Bodyguard 2.0. At our center target, I will fire 10 shots from our Ruger SP-101 and a reload in the middle. And at the right-hand target, 10 shots from our Heritage Roscoe, again having to reload in the middle. And I'll show you one thing I've noticed about loading and unloading this Roscoe halfway in between. Since I'm holding the Roscoe, let's go ahead and start with that now at our right-hand target. All of our shots will be double action. Here we go. Okay, 1 almost dead center, 3 on the target. Odds are good. The 2 not on the target are to the right of the target. So here I am going to, hopefully you can see this on the camera, take the brass out. You can dump the brass out, and you'll notice on the cylinder closest to the grip that the brass runs into the grip, meaning you have to rotate the cylinder slightly to get that 5th piece of brass out. Now the same is true when you go to load the firearm. You can load 4 cylinders very easily, at least with this non-woodcutter ammo. But that 5th one, I guess if you go at an angle, you can get it in. But close to the grip, it's a little more challenging to get that one in. And you basically have to rotate the cylinder and it slows down, at least your hand loading. Once I find my speed loader for this 5-shot small frame 38 revolver, we'll do a follow-up where we see if we can load it with a speed loader with the stock grips on this revolver. Second 5 now, same right-hand target, all shots double action. I think we sandwiched one shot in between our bullseye shot and the 9-ring shot. The other shots are at the right edge of our target. Not a spectacular grouping out there, but if we were shooting at a full-size silhouette center mass, all of our hits would be on a target. Let's do our Ruger SP101 now at that center target. Same thing, 5 shots, double action, reload, 5 more shots, double action. Okay, we only put 3 hits on the target, all at the perimeter. Not spectacular. Though with the grips and design of this firearm, you'll notice that we can unload all 5 pieces of brass from the cylinder without having to rotate the cylinder. Let's load the firearm now. We can also easily load each cylinder without having to rotate the cylinder. The brass doesn't bump into the grip. All right, here we go. 5 more, double action. Okay, in the double action 10-shot test, somehow the Roscoe won. That certainly surprises me. That probably comes down to this is the Cruise SP101. I actually have the 4.2-inch barrel SP101, but we did a little swapsy the last time we shot because the crew actually very much prefers the sights on my SP101 and they want to change theirs. And I said, why don't you practice with mine a little bit while you decide? So that's my excuse and I'm sticking to it. Here we go, 10 shots with the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0. Allergies. Left-hand target. Let's see how we do. One, two, three, four, five, six, 8 of 10 on our target. I think that was 10. It felt like 9, but the magazine's empty, so it had to be 10. I better group out there with the Bodyguard 2.0, and a lot of that comes down to I've just shot, well, not recently a ton, over the course of this year, a lot more than probably any other firearm. Recoil-wise, I would say the Bodyguard 2.0 is less felt recoil than the least felt recoil of, or actually, I'm going to have to compare that against the Ruger, but the most felt recoil of what we shot today is out of the Heritage Roscoe. I can at least tell you that much. Let me load 5 with the SP101 again. And I'll shoot these single action at the middle target. And then I'll do a few shots with the Bodyguard 2.0 to compare the recoil. Here we go. That's why I had to fight it. And I'll only shoot 5, even though this magazine has more than 5. Okay, it's very similar in terms of the amount of felt recoil. The recoil impulse is slightly different between the revolver and the semi-auto, though I would say maybe a smidge, a, almost the bare minimum of difference of felt recoil as far as more felt recoil from the Bodyguard 2.0 compared to our SP101, which probably makes sense given that this is a heavier firearm designed to also shoot .357 Magnum. As we saw in today's video, both the Heritage Roscoe and the Smith & Wesson Bodyguard 2.0 can be excellent concealed carry firearms, even if they might be targeting different ends of that same consumer spectrum. While the Bodyguard 2.0 has a much higher capacity available to it, and for some people they might see it as more concealable, the Heritage Roscoe is still very concealable on its own, and it has that advantage that some would say you could fire it from a pocket, whereas you probably don't want to do that from any firearm, to be honest. Now, while the Heritage Roscoe does have a more anemic capacity, shall we say, compared to that Bodyguard 2.0, you probably have a wider variety of ammo available between how long it's been on the market and the plethora of choices between plus P and non-plus P ammo, though there is also a wide variety of ammo available for 380 ACP, both plus P and non-plus P. While both these firearms are in a very similar price point, that $300 to $400 ballpark, I'd also say their ammo is also in a fairly similar ballpark. It should be cheaper than it really is, which is one of the downsides both these firearms share. So the Bodyguard 2.0 is going to have a higher capacity, and many will say it has less felt recoil, at least compared to our Heritage Roscoe. Though not everything slants in the Bodyguard's favor. Some things that it has going against it compared to the Roscoe is, if your hand strength or hand mobility challenged, you may find it much more difficult to articulate the slide or load those magazines to full capacity. With the Heritage Roscoe, it's much easier to load in terms of just swinging out the cylinder, dropping in 5 rounds, closing it, and doing the reverse to unload that firearm. There's also that simplicity that goes a long way with the Heritage Roscoe that the Bodyguard, it just doesn't have in its favor. When it comes to sights, I'm tempted to call it even, at least as far as the stock sights go. The Bodyguard 2.0, while it does have a nice set of night sights, they're small, and those with aged eyes probably are going to be challenged to pick it up. And while the sights on the Roscoe might be in a better blade and groove type setup, their flat black design that doesn't stand out against many targets are similarly going to make them challenging to find, especially if you're shooting against a target with a black background like we saw here today. Now, one point that is in the Bodyguard's favor is with the striker fired trigger, it does have a more consistent, smoother trigger, lighter trigger, though with the Roscoe, you do have that ability to do the single action shot that you don't have with the Bodyguard 2.0. And if you're someone who likes to tinker with springs, you can probably get that trigger pull, both double action and single action, a little more friendly than what it is from the manufacturer. Though all in all, both firearms are in that budget-friendly bucket, if the ammo's not, and depending on if you want to be the classic noir or the new sexy modern shooter, either one will fit your bill. Both firearms can be excellent firearms. As we saw here today, they're reliable, they're trending in the accurate direction, and overall, they get 2 thumbs up from us. Well, anyway, that seems like the perfect spot to end today's video. If you enjoyed today's video, like the video, share it with your friends and family, drop a comment on there. Those things are free, and they really help the channel greatly. If you'd like to help us make more of these videos in the future, look into becoming a member. Fred and I really appreciate you getting this far. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a good night. Fred.